wants to wear one every day.
It's pretty good. I can get you in touch with it.
I mean, I can just pull up and write and say, my favorite order.
Okay. But we still have a few minutes, so we'll be motoring
A
around here.
gray one, super cute.
Do we have gray ones?
I won't sit down so that anybody connecting won't think we've already started. I'll
Okay.
just kind of
She's
mingle
like it.
around.
Same size everything.
Coleman.
Mingle.
Just like the one I got, just a different one.
Was it raining on you when you came in?
It was drizzling, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not a problem.
I don't want to the live stream people to think that we started. You know, because we got 5 minutes, so I was just I just want to wonder what you are so tan.
I know, it looks good.
We have had the boat out every weekend.
Have you?
Summer.
Good. Well, you can tell you've been out in the sun.
We had to figure out.
This is called product placement for Facebook Live.
Right.
Given a bath.
Speaking of that, give me a
Yes. Yes. They're with you.
They're with
Other than
you.
that,
We're talking about so much, but sometimes.
How are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
We have a camper, we haven't been out in 2 years. We went out last weekend. We had a good time, I forgot it was fun.
Where did you go?
So would y'all go to Washington?
We went to Catherine's Landing. It's not really camping.
Where?
Catherine's Landing.
Yeah.
It's like paved and they have cable TV.
That's my kind of camping.
They got a pool.
I get camping.
You're quasi camping, were you?
I was glancing, okay. Catherine's Landing.
Is that Lake Catherine?
Lake Catherine.
Okay.
It's really pretty out there, but yeah, it's not the camping that you think of.
You don't have to rough it to rough it.
Right, that's right, right? We had a good time. I thought,
I went to the North Shore Marina
Okay.
this summer. You ever been there?
I have.
That's a real nice marina.
Yeah, they have a ton of amenities there and dock space.
Well, we rented a pontoon when our kids were here for the 4th of July.
Okay.
We've done it out of Brady Mountain, which was really rough.
And the last 2 weekends.
It's such a,
Oh, yeah, getting out on the main channel.
yeah, well, not
Yeah.
only that, it was just raining.
Son-in-law's family and we've been.
And this was a brand new pontoon. I rented out of the state
So what
park,
we only got my husband.
and I like that. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
it's pretty good state
Yeah.
park marina.
Yeah.
But this, North Shore is probably as nice.
And if you don't want to get out in the main channel, you can have a little lake experience and not even go all the way to the main channel.
That's what's called, yeah.
we did it first, we didn't want to do it right now. And I didn't pay to have it stored in storage, and so it's, I should have paid money.
So how long did it take you to get around from there? I love from St. Clair.
I don't know if I'm there yet.
Takes a while.
Yeah. Just,
And do you ever find that all your Missouri law, Arkansas law, commingled?
oh, yeah, and you have to peel them apart.
Yeah, that's what I had in Illinois. I had to peel them apart because Illinois school code is so much different.
Right.
But it's a good experience. It really is.
Right. So how was the first 2 days of school? Take the traffic out of the mix, and all in all, pretty successful. Yeah.
I heard he was pulling his hair on the first day.
Yeah. I just want you couldn't.
Didn't take too long, did it?
Didn't take too long, did it?
Why was the traffic so different? Just because it was, I mean, because same kids, right? Same.
I think,
Just everybody adjusting back
Week
to
of
the
school.
routine.
like my kids, I don't want to ride the bus.
Oh, I gotcha.
Like one of them rode the bus this morning. The other two I had to bring. It was horrible.
Just can't believe it's already that school.
I told Campbell, I was like, this is ridiculous. Because I left on time and
Right.
I had to be in Arkadelphia at 9.
And barely made it.
I made it at 9.
Right. Right.
We'll get started in just a minute.
I got to read anything tonight.
Yes, you'll have to read the
So I always
motions.
read those.
always.
Okay.
Mhm. And we'll have an extra one. So are you logged into your email?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and do you have the email that says the notes, board meeting notes?
I do?
Right. You'll want to have that one up because Mr. Campbell's going to make a modification to it. He's going to add a motion.
I already did.
Okay, okay. So it's not printed on there, so you'll want to make sure if you
So
scroll
this is
down.
the new one.
Yes.
Should be. It's in Google Docs, so he can live edit it. Okay. I think that's the third one.
Okay.
Nah, you can just read off that when we get to it. Okay. Okay.
Is that today or that's, like that just, like I just got this email today?
We're getting ready to,
No, you get it, but he can live edit the
Okay.
document.
Okay.
So we got it a few days ago, but because it's in Google Docs, anybody can live edit it. Okay, it's 5 o'clock. We'll get started with our meeting, but before we call it to order, let's stand, have a pledge and a prayer, and then we'll get started. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Remain standing. Father, we thank you for the beginning of this school year and for the good day that the kids and the staff have had these last couple of days. We pray for your watch care throughout the whole school year, and that you would bless our administrators and our staff and this board with the wisdom to make good decisions for our students and our fellow staff. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
amen.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order, and we do have a couple of, I'll call them housekeeping items before we get started. One, we have had a couple of late additions to the agenda. Anytime we have that happen after 3 o'clock where we cannot notify the newspaper, we have to do it in open session. So I am letting everyone know that we are adding a motion in new business on a board-to-board transfer of a student that we'll be talking about when we get to the new business section. And we are also adding a personnel item at the end. The board will meet in executive session at that time, and that was not listed on
Correct.
the agenda when it was published. Also, I want to remind you that the board has added back a public comment section to our regular monthly meetings. It will be just before new business. And is there a sign-up sheet somewhere floating?
Back here.
It is back there? Okay. So if you want to speak, you will have a 3-minute time limit, and be sure you sign up because I'll grab that list and we'll kind of work from that if you want to speak at the meeting. The other thing that I need to do is read this letter, and then we will get started with the actual agenda. This letter is dated August 12th, and it's to Dana Greason, President, Fountain Lake School Board, with a copy to Dr. Murphy. After several months of reflection, I have determined that the combination of medical challenges and family responsibilities have put a great strain on my ability to perform the duties required on the board. Please make my resignation date effective as of Thursday, August 15th, 2019. I think we saw some very fine candidates during the last interviews. I feel certain that you will find a very qualified replacement. I wish you all the best during this coming school year. Sincerely, Sheila M. Ford, Member at Large. So, Ms. Ford is resigning effective tonight. That's why she's not here.
Right.
And we want to thank her for her service. She's been on the board. She was the longest serving member of this existing board. So we want to thank her for her service. And I hope she's had the opportunity to watch us tonight on Facebook Live. If she is, we thank you, Ms. Ford. And you've made some really good contributions to the board over the years. And you will be missed as a board member among this group. So the job for this remaining board is that we will have 30 days to appoint a replacement for her position. We will look at the calendar and see how that falls. If we can, basically we'll need to have it done by the next board meeting.
Correct.
Typically. So we will go through our process. We'll be discussing it as a board of, how we want to get the word out. the word is now out on Facebook Live and among our crowd here tonight. So we do have some running for school board. This is from the Arkansas School Board Association. If you, anybody in the audience, are interested, or if you know somebody that might be, this is just some interesting information about running for school board. You are happy, I'll be happy to let you take one of these after the meeting is over tonight. And,
Or they can pick one up at any point at the district office.
okay, great. With Robin? Okay. So, anyway, the board will be looking for an appointee. So that was my other housekeeping item. Now we will move into our consent agenda items. And those are the meeting minutes from last month's regular meeting and the special board meeting we had on August the 5th. Board members, and it also includes the bills from this past month. Board members have had a chance to look them over and ask questions if there were any. So if there are no questions now, we're going to consider them approved by unanimous consent.
Okay, I couldn't open the bills.
I could
I
not.
wasn't able to review those. It said access denied.
Well, Howard thought it was just me.
It wasn't.
Some of those do pop up, and when you, if you will hit request access, I think it comes to you, Robin, is that correct?
That was Tanya's.
It was Tanya's?
Yes, but she will receive the email.
She'll receive the email and grant access, but we need to probably make her aware
Yes.
that she needs to make it visible without asking for
Yes.
permission. We will have that corrected so that you can see it. It's a list of, just the normal monthly checks that are written and that kind of thing. We don't have any legislative update tonight because Ms. Ford is obviously not here. So we're going to skip right on to unless other board members have any comments that y'all want to make? Any? Okay. Feel free, if y'all have anything you need to add, jump right in. Dr. Murphy, let's go into your financial review, your update.
Well, I was hoping, we're just now completing the final cycle for the transfers, so tonight you do not see the fund balances listed. In our work session, we discussed kind of where our ending fund balances would be. What I have shared with you is basically the expenditure report that will kind of echo. You've seen some of the campus updates around here and what we've paid bills. At this point in time, our year-to-date expenditures and supplies and services is roughly $400,000, and we've just now entered into our first pay cycle with our 12-month employees and our 220-day employees, and we'll have a much larger pay cycle next month with September is when all of our teachers will be back on the payroll in that regard. So that kind of shows you year-to-date the expenditures versus salary and benefits, as well as looking at the overall supplies and services. So two things that we'll get to here in item C, but we'll need to begin to talk about a budget planning session and really framing how we work through the selection of a board candidate and being able to allow that person to engage with us in the budget planning session. So we've got some work to do on our calendar.
Okay.
But I would stop there in terms of item A. Is there anyone has any questions regarding just the overall financial review and the assumption in terms of budgetary allowance is based off of prior year budget? So you can kind of see those expenditures and revenue projections. The second item is where do we stand with enrollment? We had a very large enrollment cycle anticipated, and then well over 1,400 students, but they didn't all show up. And so if you go from the 1421 and then you look at who was actually in attendance on August the 15th, you'll see roughly 1,300 and 63 were in attendance on 8/15. So we have to take that into consideration, and so we're still looking for other kids to show up, or our secretaries are looking for requests for records transfers in that regard. But over the next couple of days, we'll have a a truer number. I would tell you that with what we're sensing and seeing, the overall enrollment should stabilize below 1,400, not above. That would be a general consensus I would have. The overall kindergarten enrollment, as far as what come into the district, was 76 students is what we had that actually attended. And of course, we had a slightly higher number than that were enrolled. So that's what we have currently.
You take these in the enrollment numbers from last year's student population.
And what students have requested enrollment papers.
Okay,
School,
and-
sometimes you have school choice requests that are approved, and then when it gets down to whether they may choose to not come, and stay in their home district, you have
Okay.
some of that occurs at this point in time. So all of those, it's anyone that's requested to be enrolled.
Okay.
And then, so what you're looking at is the variance, and that's a pretty big variance versus what was
Yes.
enrolled.
55 versus 60. Yeah. Where is it? Have you identified whether it's in any particular building?
No.
Okay.
Mr. Campbell, is there
this'll-
anything
No,
you would
it's-
want to comment?
It's early.
You know,
Right.
In all honesty, we still have 2 weeks till Labor Day,
Yeah.
and we'll have new bodies roll in Tuesday after Labor Day,
Yeah.
first day of school.
Yeah.
So,
As far as the overall process, I think we have to wait roughly 10 days through that window before you can even consider dropping them from the enrollment in that regard. So, they'll continue to try to figure out where people are at and see what those overall numbers will become. But I wanted to just give you a comparison between, and the community, the number that had enrolled versus who actually showed up day one.
Now, is our pre-K full at this point?
We have any open slots? We have maybe 2 open slots in the pre-K program, so we're running between 57, 58, we can accommodate up to 60.
I know a lady who needs to register. a
Okay.
pre-K, so.
Yeah, so we still do have a
Good.
couple of spots open there. Any other questions regarding enrollment? In terms of millage discussion, we wanted to see our enrollment numbers come in. We met, Hayden and I, today with Modus, the architectural firm that we've been working with in the master plan, and really trying to vet how we design the roadway to connect over the mountain, and looking at cubic yards moved and the overall cost associated with that, and then trying to identify a priority that the board and I were looking for was to have possibly 2 buildable site locations, one being at the tennis court area and the other one being on the backside of the campus. And so we're working to try to further come up with plans associated with the possibilities of a build out there, as well as additional parking for extracurricular campus in that regard. Really, at this point in time, we need to think about a planning session to further take on this discussion outside of a regular business meeting. And so you really have, in my opinion, 2 opportunities to meet outside of a regular meeting, and I really want the board's position on whether you want to try to accomplish both. We're going to need an appointment.
Right.
We're
to
going to
import
need
interviews.
to deal with answering any questions related to the current budget, along with the direction we want to take. And so I think we could wrap the budget and the millage kind of together as kind of a work session. And we were targeting the 10th of September in that week. I think that's a Tuesday. Wanted to just kind of get a feel for calendars. Wasn't that correct? We were looking at Tuesday or Thursday of that week? Yeah, the 12th is a Thursday.
Thursday, the
10th was Tuesday. But I wanted to kind of see what that week looked like for the board. That would also, I would want input, Mrs. Greason, on whether you want to have a separate meeting for the appointment. And then we bring that new person to this meeting as the first meeting that they begin to attend, so we can get
Yeah.
a 5-member board engaged into the process.
True.
So,
Yeah.
thoughts on,
Thoughts on that, board members? Do you want to try to appoint somebody and have a work session all rolled in as one?
Knock it out.
Okay.
one less meeting.
Okay. All right. So, let's look at, today is the, let's see, 1, 2. We have to have somebody appointed by September 14th, which is a Saturday. So that's before our board meeting.
Right.
So,
But I was thinking you were gonna have to meet to appoint, and then
And
you could
then-
have a work session following that. That would give that person, see, once you appoint them, they have to go down to the county.
get sworn in.
And get sworn in, so you're gonna have to give them time to do that before they could actively participate in a meeting. So
Okay.
you really need to have your appointment prior to your work session.
So, if we aim to, let's say we, we start advertising it tonight.
Correct?
And if we do any official Facebook advertising or anything, or newspaper, whatever we want to do, let's say,
How long's it gotta advertise?
just a couple of weeks. I mean, no more than that.
Correct.
You know, it really doesn't, because if you have some of the same candidates that were interested last time, you at least will not have to necessarily go through the interview process with them. So we still have notes on them.
Right.
If you have other candidates that we would have to add, come in and talk to them. So do y'all want to,
If you wanna stick with a Thursday theme for the community's sake, you could target the 29th, that'd be 2 weeks out, or you could target the 5th of September, and that would still give them time to get.
or
If
Thursdays?
those dates don't work for you guys, then we could move to a Tuesday or something, but I just need to kinda get an idea of
Lloyd,
what your
what is your schedule?
availability is.
Thursdays work better for me.
Thursdays work better? What about y'all?
Football's fixing to start.
I think it's September.
On Thursday nights? This will not take, the appointment won't take that long.
Yeah.
An hour of your time. Do you have your football schedule on your phone?
I can pull it up.
Huh?
Fifth is open.
The 5th is open?
We play Tuesday night the 3rd and then Friday night the 6th.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Shall we plan that the 5th for an appointment? We will make the appointment on Thursday, September 5th. Let's plan on meeting here at 5 o'clock.
So the appointment would be September the 5th?
Yes.
Okay,
And
that'll give
then-
us plenty of time.
The work session, the next week, we need to give them time to get sworn in so they can be part of that meeting. So do we
Correct.
want to have that on the 12th?
I think there'll be a ball game that night.
I know
So
there's
these guys would
Okay.
prefer a Tuesday, I'm anticipating.
the 10th,
Perfect.
Tuesday.
Can you look at that schedule, sir, again?
We'll play on Thursday.
Okay, that's what I figured.
But not on Tuesday.
When do the 8th graders play?
Mondays.
It's Mondays, right? Monday and Thursday?
Yeah,
Thursdays and
Tuesday would be
Tuesday's
your
good.
date that you guys
Tuesday,
could do that.
so our work session will be, can you make that, Lloyd, Tuesday the 10th?
I'll make it,
Okay. This will be an aberration.
believe me,
If
We'll-
there's any games, do it.
We'll make it rare that we do that.
that's my 40th anniversary of my wife, but don't worry about it.
What?
I'm teasing.
Is it really?
No,
Hey,
Dad.
bring her to the board meeting.
Yeah, we'll bring a cake and we'll celebrate with you.
We'll bring a
Tuesday,
cake.
That was humor,
Tuesday,
Dana.
September 10th, a board work session. It will be open to the public. We'll have an agenda published the week before. Board appointment on Thursday, the 5th.
1700,
Yes, that would be 5 o'clock.
sorry, 5 o'clock.
Yeah. Don't make me start lying about that. Okay, so that's our business on the millage
Yes,
budget.
that gets
Okay.
the planning meetings in place to move us forward with
Okay.
further input, and we can contact the architect and let them know that we're looking at the 10th versus the 12th. So
Right.
we'll plan on that.
All right, so now, are we moving to Mr. Campbell? You have
If you don't mind, Mr. Campbell, move just a little bit closer
so that you can be heard on the microphone?
Thank you.
On the AMI plan? Yes.
I've attached our AMI plan, which is the alternative method of instruction plan for the 2019-20 school year. The state board approved that this week, and so we will have those 5 AMI days at our discretion should we have inclement weather, or we used 3 of those days last year for illness.
Okay,
And so it's the exact same plan as last year. Students will have phone folder or Google Classrooms,
Okay,
and that they'll have at home and be prepared to work in, should we have a day that we're out.
Okay.
So I wanted to share that with you. Mark has posted it in a couple of places on the website,
okay,
so folks can see that. We did get started. We've had a really good week of professional development last week and the first part of this week,
Uh-huh.
and then kids and buses and
yes.
lunches all kicked in on Wednesday, yesterday.
And I hear it's been a good couple of first days.
We're up and rolling.
Yeah, good.
That's like the extent of what I have.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll hope that we don't have to use AMI days, but they're there if we need them. Well, at least we won't have to make them up in June. Hayden, do you have anything for us? There you are in the back.
Yeah, I'll just say a few updates. The K1 entryway, I'd say it's about 98% done. Offices up and functional, everyone's moved in.
Come on in,
The
guys.
window went in today. There's a piece up front.
Yeah, there's some seats in the first couple of rows here, guys. We'll pull in more if we need them. Y'all just come on in.
The only thing at this point we're waiting for is the millwork for the new desk and cabinetry going in.
Okay.
It's about a week out. And so that's, if you haven't seen that space, swing by. Those ladies up front let you, once you're right on in, tour the area. Very nice space, much needed. Again, moving the wall forward, so the whole area is about 6 foot larger. So again,
Good.
just swing by, look, check it out.
Mm-hmm.
Behind the auditorium, that's about wrapped up. You have to swing by there as well. New asphalt went down, retaining wall is in, and then they just finished pouring the concrete today. There's a small section to come back and do, but a 4x4 area they'll be pouring in the morning, and I'll wrap up all the projects on the auditorium.
Okay,
Car rider awning for 2-4.
Yes.
K1. That's got delivered today,
oh,
and they'll be installing that Saturday.
very good.
And a lot of other small projects, we've had, some overlays done, some seal coating, striping, many other projects. Elementary library renovation was completed. Again, I know Lloyd and I went on a tour around campus. If anyone else wants a tour, let us know. Let Mr. Campbell know or myself, and we'll be glad to give you a tour.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
The only thing I would add that, our first day of traffic was very challenging. We had a lot of people dropping off, children, and also picking up. Today, that time frame was literally, I think, in the afternoon, almost cut in half.
It's only 40 minutes today.
Right.
Yesterday was 90.
So you were an hour and a half trying to get everyone into a car yesterday. So today you were roughly at 40 minutes in terms of getting all of, and that's K through grade level 4, and then the pre-K. So, just want to, we're fully aware of what those challenges are regarding traffic. Yesterday was a little bit of a safety concern as far as roadway egress. We did have such a problem stacking that it did get out onto Highway 5. We had Highway 5 blocked roughly today for 2 minutes or 3.
3 minutes.
And so that remains to be a concern. I serving and working with the county and other capacities on Board of Equalization, and I met with Judge Mahoney today. He's coming out here. We're doing recognition on a grant in the morning, but we're also going to be looking at traffic flow.
Bring him first thing when he's the
Yeah,
traffic.
when the traffic is heavy.
Right. So, he's planning on being out here shortly after 7. We're going to go to some different areas. We all know that, we can't wait. We know when the roundabout and egress for people to get the commuting traffic through and around our campus, that'll change the dynamic, but we've got a good solid 2+ years before we get there. And so we're going to have to continue to do the very best we can. Hopefully routines will get lined out here. Having our FACES program open up in a couple of weeks with an after-school program will split the amount of car riders we're picking up. So there's some different things that will come about that should shape the routine a little bit better. But definitely we've had our the good thing about it is we didn't have any real issues in terms of student safety. It was inconvenient, but it was just truly an inconvenience and not anything that impeded in terms of children not being where they needed to be in that
Yeah.
regard. So
Good,
just wanted to add that.
okay.
The only other item that we linked in, Robin and I, you may have received, but the ASBA Region 10 meetings, please review those at your own discretion. Each of you are aware of board training opportunities, and so that you can kind of let Robin know if you have any intentions of attending any of those. We will get you registered and ready to go.
Yep. And we'll talk more about that, but the region meeting is a good one, and it's a good chance to meet with some of our other local school board members here in the area. So you can let Robin know at any time, email her, call her, say, hey, Robin, sign me up. So that'll be coming up on Tuesday, October the 8th at Center Point Schools, I think. Okay, so we're gonna move into our public comment section, and do we have? Okay, do we have anyone, we'll just do this impromptu, is there anyone that wants to make public comment? If you do, you will have 3 minutes to speak to the board, and we'll share some do's and don'ts if anybody wants to say anything. Okay.
I do.
Okay.
Somebody else is.
Okay, Kenny. And yeah,
I was
and,
gonna go ahead and address the problem. Evidently, there is a problem. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Kenny Kaiser, but I haven't personally got a kid that's on the football field,
right,
but evidently there's some stuff going on up there. And it's my understanding that we've lost over half of our senior high football team. And I commend you guys that are actually still on the team that have stuck it out. But I feel that there's a problem up there that might need to be addressed, and there might have been meetings already with whatever the problem is up there. And if so, kudos to you guys, but I don't think that there has been. I think that we're failing those kids up there. It's not all about just academics. Athletics plays a big part in these kids' lives too, and in our community. It brings our community closer together whenever we're all up here at basketball, football, and volleyball games and everything else.
right,
And without those sports, then you're not gonna have the community input up here. I love Mark Davis to death. He was my coach whenever I was here. But that's his job to oversee that. And Mr. Murphy, that's your job too. And if you guys know there's a problem, then y'all should address it, and it shouldn't get to the point to where it's at now. I don't know what the numbers were last year, and I know we're not allowed to, like, target certain people, and I'm
Right.
not targeting you guys. But I know in sixth grade last year, I believe they had 25 or 30 kids on Pee Wee. And it's to my understanding that we don't even have enough kids now to even have a seventh grade team. And those kids are gonna have to play up in junior high, and that is ridiculous. Something has got to be done about our athletics, not just up there, but also in that basketball gym. And the only answer we always get is, we're working on it, we just can't do away with their contract. And I understand that to an extent, but what are their requirements? Do y'all put any kind of requirements on them for a winning season, or what their record should be, or any kind of goals that maybe they have set? Because I don't think that there is. And without those, what do those guys have to fear for in their job? Nothing. I don't think we won a basketball game at all last year in senior high girls. I don't know that he's had a winning season since he's been here. And you can't tell me that we don't have the talent coming through that gym or on that field. If you go up there and look on that field house, there's like 5 or 6 consecutive years that we had really good seasons. And those stands were filling up. And I know we're gonna have off years and everything, but to have that many kids leave that field is ridiculous. And the other thing is you got a young man up there, he's younger than I am, so I'll call him a young man. And he's been up there on that field for a while now. He left and he come back. And you knew what you had up there with David DeArmond. So why not appoint him instead of bringing somebody in new from the outside who you know nothing about his background or anything else other than a 2-hour interview that you've done and a piece of paper he fills out for an application. He's put in the time and the effort, and he deserves a chance, in my opinion.
thank you, Kenny, for sharing. And, can I interrupt, Mark, do we need to, for purposes of our recording, are you catching the sound okay?
Catch the sound, just for
Okay, if not, we can have people come
Right.
closer, okay? If you will, stand up and tell us your name.
My name is Gina DeArmond. I just want to speak on the parent side for a minute. Back to the sports. Not all of our kids are going to be able to go to college on academics. My son's one of them, he's genuinely smart, but I'm a single mom. I'm gonna need that football scholarship or whatever, even if it's just the minute piece of it. And that's what I don't feel like is being spoken to these kids. These kids, none of them have the aspirations to go to college on a sports scholarship. None of them do. They don't think they can make it because it's Fountain Lake. Nobody ever goes to college from Fountain Lake on sports. Well, from some of us parents, that's the only way some of our kids are gonna get there. My kid's not dumb, but he's not a 4.0 student, so sports is gonna help him. And these kids, they just really need somebody they can look up to. They don't have anybody they can look up to right now except the 4 coaches we've had since they were in Pee Wee. And when you got kids who are in Pee Wee who are seniors and walking off the team, there's a problem. It's not with the kids. And don't get me wrong, I know how kids are, but it's not the problem anymore. It's some of the leadership that they're following, I guess. But that's all I wanted to say from the parent standpoint.
Thank you very much for your comments. And can I assume that most of you young men that are here tonight are on the football team?
Yes,
Okay.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for being here. I know not all of you are gonna stand up and make comments, but I appreciate your presence here tonight. And,
I'd like to say something.
yes, sir, tell us your name.
Asa Western.
Yes, sir.
I just like to say that I think, you know, we can talk about the administration and the coaches all we want, but I think it comes down to the root is the way that the mindset of our kids right now is that they don't want to be up there, you know. It's not all the coaches. It's a lot of kids who don't care anymore. And I can vouch for a lot of our coaches that are doing a good job, that have been tough on our kids and have weeded out the majority of the team that can't handle playing football anymore because they're having to be pushed to do things. And this is to the point we are with 24, 25 kids, maybe even less than that now, and that's just the point we are. I don't think there may be stuff up higher, but I think the root of it is the kids, and I don't think that you can put everything on a coach whenever the majority of our coaches are doing what they're supposed to do. I think a lot of it is the kids, and that's unfortunate.
Thank you. That's very insightful for a young person. I appreciate your comments. Yes, sir. Tell us your name.
I'm Trent Walker. These coaches have done an amazing job, and so did Coach Barbary as he was here. In just a little time, he's probably made an impact on all of us, even as a staff, you know, as coaches. You can learn so much from one person, and yes, it does come down to us kids and how we approach our mindset and how we work every day. Sorry. These coaches, yes, they're tough on them, that's their job, but also on the other side, like, we gotta have, you know, come as a family, you know, try and get each other and try and learn from each other and what our viewpoints are on this. And it's just hard because, you know, it's only been a few months that we've known Coach Barbary, and his son have been, you know, great. And you can learn so much from one aspect of person, you know, their personality or, you know, the way they go about things. And it's just so cool that these guys have stuck around for a while.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm not a smart kid. I'm not, you know, I'm middle of the pack, but, you know, these coaches after school, you know, we go up there, you know, we're tired from school, but, you know, they're trying to, like, get us, you know, hyped up, and just ready for a season. And with 24, 23 players, how are we ever going to have a season when we can just, you know, I know it takes a lot of guys and we need a lot more people, but, you know, it all comes down to the guys that are in the room that are willing to, you know, stick it out for the team. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for making those comments. Appreciate you getting that. Anybody else have any?
I do want to add just one little thing because nobody seems to touch on it. The coaches that are there for these kids are getting the limelight, like David and Shelton and Weston. And Davis. They have really been there for the kids, but they're not the head of the coaching staff. And I'm not trying to make anything seem like the person's bad. It's just the new people we get, they don't connect with these kids. They come in and bark orders at, and unfortunately, we've got grown men sitting in front of us, and you can't come to a grown man and bark orders at him if you don't get to know the kid first. And that's, I think, the biggest issue is because they're not getting to know these kids now. Before we have, they've known them since they were little. And so they respect, these boys respect them, they'll do exactly what they tell them to do. But the new ones coming in aren't taking the time to know the boys. And that's, I think, a huge problem with a lot of kids quitting this year. They're being disrespected. They feel disrespected. I'm not saying they're being disrespected, but they feel it. And that's the biggest thing.
And I think it shows a lot for the coaches that actually are sitting in here. They probably knew that this was gonna be a hot discussion. They might be put in a hot seat, but you have 4 coaches that are sitting in here from the football team, and I don't see our 2 new coaches in here.
Do we have any others that want to make comments before we move on into our other items? And obviously, in a board's position, just for you young people that maybe have been at a board meeting before, the board likes to hear from you and enjoys hearing. We like to hear from parents and community members and students. We cannot engage you in a conversation about specific people or even things that we may not know a whole lot about at this point, because we're not here every day, those of us who are on the board, and so sometimes we're just getting filled in on things, okay? So I just want you to know we're not responding or engaging in a conversation, because that's not what we're here to do. We're here to listen, okay?
Are we allowed to ask a question about an employee?
No.
So like if somebody resigned, we're not allowed to ask that question, or, you know, if they were given a number of days to decide if they want to stay here or not?
We cannot, as a board, now Dr. Murphy, that might be something you would want to talk to Dr. Murphy with outside of the meeting, but in a board meeting, and board members have to maintain neutrality in terms of, in case there's ever a hearing with somebody who's not here anymore, we serve as the jury. So we have to remain neutral, and we can't speak about those things as board members.
Thank you.
And the board can act on a resignation as a point of formalized action. So, I mean, that would be a personnel matter that they could take action on, yes.
Okay.
And they've done that, you know, if you look back to that special meeting, there was action taken in the prior special meeting associated with personnel resignation and employment.
Right, and we can, yes, we can accept resignations and we can approve new hires. But, you know, the scope of the board members is fairly limited in that respect. So, anything else?
Can I
Yeah.
say anything about any of that?
You can make comments, yes.
You say, like the numbers, how many kids died in school, football?
Not a whole lot.
We had 21, but don't let the numbers get you guys down. Because you can still do a lot with a little. So don't let the numbers wear you down and get you, per se, down in the hole. I mean, small numbers can do a lot. So don't worry about the numbers. I mean, yes, numbers, I mean, I got 16 kids on a Pee Wee team, it's hard to practice. But work with what you got. It's what you got to work with it. I'm not saying they couldn't be higher, but
This is where we're at right now.
this is where you're at. Swallow it and work with it. It's gonna be tough. I did it. I remember.
Rumor has it that we won't be able to play if we go under any certain amount of kids. Is that true, or can they pull up kids from this junior high team?
That, I think Mark
I would
would
probably
have that
defer to
information.
Coach, is
Coach
there a
Davis?
certain number you must have in order to participate on
Under
your field
AAA
team?
rules, have to be 21 people. Is it?
Play
Okay.
with, you can play with 11, you gotta start with 11, you can play with 10 if you start with 11.
Okay.
Yes, you can move kids up from 9th grade, but once they move up, they cannot play down.
So if you have a student athlete that's a freshman that's moved into varsity play, they can't play on Thursday and Friday nights, what you're alluding to, they gotta play on Friday night.
I think, I may be wrong, but I think Kenny was the only one here. So, I think Kenny was one of the few we had
Moved up.
moved up.
Did that answer your question? Okay.
Do you have a number of how many have quit in high school? No?
Shouldn't the coaches have that number? Should that be up there? I know of 10 people myself that have quit just in the past couple of months.
High school?
And they're from Pee Wee kids, yes. They've been playing since Pee Wee. One of them was a senior and he left, and he's been playing since Pee Wee.
And again, the board's just kind of getting information, at this point, unless, you know, none of us have high school players, so we're not in that loop. I think Cindy has junior high. You have a junior high? I didn't know if yours was Pee Wee or junior high.
I got them everywhere.
You got.
He's got one in high school, I'm just kidding.
You do have one?
No, he doesn't know.
I appreciate the passion.
I do too.
I
Thank you,
appreciate the
guys.
passion that's brought here, but we're gonna be on a fact finding and this information, but we can see there's a lot of passion in the room, and we will be listening. But like Dana said, we're on a fact finding position at this point, but I do appreciate the passion, especially from these young people. And we feel your pain. I can't suit up. You don't want to suit up.
Okay, if there are no other questions or comments, we have just a few things that we need to talk about in our new business. And the first item there, Corey, do you have a motion? Yes, the first one. Oh, turn my back around.
Go ahead and read that for us.
Motion to approve a cross-country team program at Fountain Lake School District.
Okay, we'll open this up for discussion, and I know that this request came from Coach Davis. Do you want to expound on that any?
You have the letter?
Yes, we do have the, I think the letter is attached
It's
to
attachment, right.
yeah,
Basically, what, I've got about a handful of kids wanting to run cross-country where we've never had this before. We've got one girl that could probably be really good, right?
Should be very good.
She'll be very good at it. We've got another young lady who's wanting to run. We've got a few boys that are interested in running cross-country. I don't know what the level of interest, because we haven't had a meeting with the kids yet, which we do if, you know, we talk about this a little bit tonight.
right.
I think if we give these kids a chance to be successful doing something different that we've never tried, you know, in my mind, and you can read, some of y'all are reading it,
Yeah.
that's fine. From what I understand, I've talked to several coaches, and, gosh, not Noah, Eskew, Corey Eskew,
Yeah, he's volunteering now.
and he volunteers for Jessendale, I think.
Mhm.
And basically, kids don't have to, sorry.
They don't have to practice at
They
school,
don't have
right?
to do anything in school. They can go run in an event, like a 5K.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to Lewis Hunt at Lake Hamilton yesterday, and he said, you know, junior high runs 2 miles. Senior high, which would be the only thing we do, would be senior high. They run a 5K, which is 3.1 miles. They can run events unattached. They can go run the Adam Brown Mile. They can do different things on their own. The only thing they have to be attached at is, as you see in the first paragraph, is the state meet, which is at Oakland.
In the
issue
fall.
part- Ma'am?
It's a fall sport.
It's a fall sport, yes. ma'am.
Okay,
And we have to declare with the AAA by September 30th, so we got time.
right.
That says, you know, we're gonna declare to run cross-country in boys and cross-country in girls. If we declare, we have to run. unless we just run out of kids and then I write a letter.
Okay,
If we don't declare, we can't run. And so
Gotcha.
these kids that are interested or able or
mhm,
Brooks, is Brooke here? Oh, she's a volleyball, yeah, they got volleyball. You know, just giving them an opportunity. Again, I don't know what the total interest and how many kids that would be. I'm not saying that we hire a cross-country coach, even though Lewis Hunt said, you hired a cross-country coach? I said, no, I'll do it myself. I'll go to the state meet at Oakland, and I think I said an hourly rate of pay for a coach to accompany the team. You know, just to have those kids
give them an opportunity, yeah,
You know, if I meet with the kids next week one day, and have a meeting and nobody shows up, we know the answer. Okay? If we got 6, 8, 10 kids show up, 3 kids show up, what's it costing us? Probably 3 hours of hourly rate of pay.
yeah, it's not a big investment.
$1.5 million an hour, that's 3.
We could have eventually enough interest where it would justify paying and hiring a coach, long-term, but in the short term of this year, probably not, is what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah, see what the interest is what you're wanting to do.
And then the other thing I heard for clarity's sake is this could, our kids can participate in multiple sports?
Brooke and, what's the girl's name, tall girl, Landry. Landry wants to run, Brooke wants to run, but they're both volleyball girls.
Right.
The state volleyball tournament is not at the same time as the state cross-country meet. So, you know, and all the events that they can run in are on Saturdays, they just wouldn't pick the ones that they're playing volleyball.
Right.
Paris, Greenbrier, Fountain Lake, you know, they wouldn't run those days. So
really, it's just a very nominal investment, but it opens the door to start a new program here at Fountain Lake for kids that have an interest in cross-country running.
that would be interesting.
Okay.
So, you know, some of these guys, Connor may, no, I don't think Connor. Probably.
Yeah.
But, you know, we got some kids that did well last year in track that, you know, we had a good 4x8 team, right? And some of those guys would maybe want to run, you know?
Yeah.
I
You
talked
never
to a
know.
couple of them, you don't know.
Mhm.
So all I'm asking is the opportunity to check with them, see if it's okay. If it's okay with you, then we create this program on a very low rate of pay to,
Okay.
you know,
Board,
see what happens.
board members, do y'all have any
Is
other
that-
questions? Go
Is
ahead.
that only, is it only for senior high?
Yeah, I would do it just senior high, 9 through 12. A lot of reason why is because you got a junior, those kids can drive, most of those kids can drive. So
Yeah.
their parents are gonna go too anyway, but I would say we started 9 through 12. see what
Start
the interest is. If it
high school
becomes
this year.
an ideal, you know, if it explodes.
Okay.
We're not gonna be a Lake Hamilton where they're headed to Fayetteville to run in Chili Pepper. Spend the night 2 nights, and, you know, we're not.
Right.
Not yet.
Not yet, that's right.
Any other questions? Sounds good. Okay, so we have this motion to approve a cross-country team / program at Fountain Lake School District. If there are no other questions, all in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. None opposed. The cross-country program is established. Now it's up to Coach Davis to fill it up.
I'll run with you.
Okay. We heard it. It's on recording. We have it out.
Yeah, we heard it, it's on
Yeah.
recording.
I wouldn't even get the .1 of
2 yards.
.1.
Okay, Corey, we have another motion.
There we go. Motion to approve the resolution to authorize the approval and adoption of the paid salaries of the employees listed on the reported spreadsheet for the 2017-18 school year to 2018-19 pursuant to the Act 1120 of Arkansas.
You don't have to read all
Okay.
that code, Arkansas code. Is that correct for the 27-18 school year to 2018-19?
You have to compare the 2 prior years that are complete,
Okay,
what the pay structure is.
I
It's
didn't know if we
really
just
a
forgot to check
disclosure of acknowledgement that those pays are varying.
So these are things that already happened. This is not their current year.
Correct.
This is
Yes.
historical data.
Mhm.
Okay.
And we're
That-
required by law to present it and show any modifications year over year.
Right.
And
So
the
that makes
5%
more
will be
sense.
based on the last year,
Correct.
not the prior.
Correct.
Right.
Right.
And so the reasons are on the right-hand side, and some of them, some people may participate in FACES, others, there might be a new stipend added. We're just required by law to publicly present that on an annual basis.
And you have to explain anything 5% or greater increase, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So this is all historical. I know you may have had a question about current, but
Well, I was just wondering how, or why, just out of curiosity, why from year to year that it's going down on some people, on some teachers, besides, if they were doing faces or not, or, some of them
like
may
those
be
that are
stipends.
minus ones and minus twos.
Right.
Could have been something that they were doing differently. Sometimes it's participation in a program. You don't create a reason for disclosure on anyone going down. It's only for those you're required to
Right.
create a reason if they're being paid more. Most of the time, it's around after-school programming, or they've chosen not to take an extended duty of some type. Athletic gate gets every dollar bill earned by an employee, so anything that they do extra. And
So
then
this
the
is all
next,
the extracurricular, all
This
extracurricular.
includes-
could be a gate. I may, one year I do 25 gates, next year I can't do any gates.
Makes sense to me.
I got you.
Okay. Do you have any other questions?
No, that was my main concern, was
Sure.
why salaries were going down,
Right.
and what the reason was.
Okay. And, we can have, when we have our work session, we talk about budgeting and stuff.
Right.
We may have an opportunity there to look more at the salary schedule and things of that nature. Okay, so we have this motion to approve the resolution to authorize the approval and adoption of the paid salaries of the employees listed on the spreadsheet for the 2017-2018 school year to 2018-2019 pursuant to Act 1120 of the Arkansas Code. If there are no other questions, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. None opposed. The motion carries 4-0. And we have one more item of, we have one more motion.
Motion to approve a legal transfer of a student to the Benton School District.
Okay.
Did you catch it?
Yep, sorry, I got it out of there.
Said approve.
Approve. This came to us today. It's a student who has never gone to school here, gone to the Benton School District, went to Benton School District today, and discovered that the move they made over the summer actually put them in our district. And so that would have been outside of the timelines for requesting school choice. Student
Right.
is a junior, never been to school here, always been to school at Benton, so then that leaves their only choice as a board-to-board transfer.
Gotcha.
And the only thing that we had to be concerned about with that is if we were violating any of our desegregation.
Mhm.
And Ms. Oxner, who takes care of our school choice efforts, told me that we allow students to school choice to Benton because their
Really?
Caucasian percentage is lower than our Caucasian percentage. So it's
Right.
not an issue for a
Okay.
child to go to Benton from here.
Okay.
So what this is asking is that you approve this legal transfer so this kid who is in Benton can stay in Benton.
Gotcha.
And the address is Nickelbill James Road, to give you an idea. It's on it's the last roadway within our district going 5 highway towards Benton.
It's way out there.
I have one question.
Yes.
After this transfer, if we vote to approve it, will they have to bring it back the next year again, or is this, he's a junior, so again, we
Next
could be
year they
faced
would do
with.
school choice
Okay.
there,
Yes.
Okay,
and then it would be on Benton's end. to
I
accept.
understand.
So this is only a one-year
This is-
agreement where school choice, once approved, is good
Right.
for the remainder.
That's what I
Okay.
thought.
Okay. So we have the motion to approve a legal transfer of a student to the Benton School District. If there are no other questions, all in favor say aye. Aye. None opposed. The motion carries 4-0.
And I need you to sign this saying that you voted that
Okay.
on the resident district.
And at this time, the board is going to go into executive session for a personnel matter. And we will be, we're going to the boardroom back here, and we will be out as soon as possible. If you would like to stay, you can. We will not be voting on anything when we come out. So when we come out, we will not do anything or take any action. This is for the purpose of discussion around personnel. So you're welcome to stay if you want. I'm just telling you ahead of time, there will not be any voting that comes out of it. So we're going to retire. If we don't see you when we come out, thanks for being here. If we do see you, if you stay, we'll see you in just a short little bit.
Got that back?
We're gonna lose that one.